Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Elbridge Township Council January 28th, 2019 meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, Mr. Merwin?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'd like to add John Denny, a longtime township resident who suddenly passed away the other day. John served with the Lawrence Harbor First Aid, the Lawrence Harbor Fire Company, dedicated many hours to the Little Leagues and footballs in town, and he will surely be missed.
A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pescitti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with you and one another. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please be seated.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, February 11, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. Mr. Cahill.
Here.
Dr. Greenberg. Here. Mr. Merwin.
Here.
Mr. Murphy. Mr. Pescitti.
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
President Sohar.
Here.
7 present. 7.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. We will begin this evening with our presentations. Mayor Henry.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, what a crowd. Great, great. Great to see so many people out. Tonight we're going to be recognizing and presenting certificates to 3 organizations in town. One is our Saywood South Rebels that had Super Bowl champion this year. We also have the Cougars are here, and we also have the high school marching band is here tonight. So we have a couple of presentations to give out, as you can see up here. To join me at the mic, it's going to be Matt. He's going to introduce our coach that can come up, say a few words about the accomplishments of the team. And everybody at home is watching, so let's hear what happened, and congratulations. And again, thank you to the organizations, the Rebels, the Cougars, parents, coaches, volunteers. Thank you for all you do for the children of this town. Thank you so much.
And we'll get it started with Cougars head coach Jeff Hauser. If you could join us up here.
She's straight back with the dog hair. Holding the baby? No. Right against the door. With the hat.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank Elbridge Township for having us here and recognizing our achievement. My team, we won conference championship, and then we went on and we won the Eastern Regional Championship. And, the team in the year previous went 0-8, so this season it was a major turnaround. We finished the regular season 5-2. We headed into the playoffs on a roll, ran through playoffs, ran through regions, and we became Eastern Region champs. And, the one thing that stood out with my guys is, they played with so much heart. They played together. They played fast. They played physical. They were very competitive, and they played for each other. And when you do that, that'll win you games. And I just want to thank my coaches, all our parents, and these kids. I mean, the kids played their hearts out. And, congratulations to the Rebels, too. We're all Elbridge football when it's said and done, so congratulations to you guys. And I just want to thank a lot of my parents out of here because, you know what, if you guys don't get the kids to practice, we can't do what we need to do. And, you know, I'm just so proud of our kids, and, you know, they earned everything. And that's pretty much it. Evan Belinda. Elbridge Cougars, 2018 Pop Warner Eastern Region Champion, JV Division Championship, and Central New Jersey Division III Championship.
Wow.
Ryan Belinda. Steven. Steven. Chris.
Very nice.
Ken. Kevin. Come on, Kev. Jake. Yasin. Dion. Tavian. Isaiah. Joel. Julius. Jaden. Jason. Nico. Mike. Manny. Zach.
We got something for your coaches.
Oh. Okay, cool. Thank you. Hey, Brian, how are you?
There you go, Cougar.
Up next, we'll do the Saywood South Rebels, coached by Jay Kassoff.
She's having fun one-way for players.
How you doing, Coach? Thank you.
First off, I want to thank Elbridge for all the support and recognition for our accomplishments this year. The players, they were just outstanding this year, never gave up. We were down a few games, always came back with their heads up and really worked hard. Thanks to the coaches, the parents, and our organization, we're just top-notch all around. That's about it. We went undefeated this year. We won a Super Bowl, which never has been done before in Rebels history.
And it's a long history.
And it's a long history, and it's all because of these guys.
Looking forward to them in high school.
Yes, yes, we are. Both organizations together.
Great form system.
But once again, thank you, Elbridge. Thank you, Township. Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. Nico versus Nico. Next, we have Aiden Badger. Anthony Capabianco. Day Desai. John Falzone. Thomas Kassoff. Tommy Kwiatkowski. Matthew Malloy. Joseph Nalaweko. Brody Nugent. Noah Rios. Bryce Rizzo. Tyler Ruiz. Ryan Schreck. Brian Smith. Danny Simkowitz. Ryan Werner. Jacob Familia. Safi Muhammad, I don't believe is with us. Hunter Steffens. Aiden Vini. And Dominic Wheeler. Thanks again, Mayor.
I'm around, but coaches.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Up next will be the recognition for the Elbridge Marching Knights. Is the band leader here? Mrs. Thatcher.
So you're going to tell, the accomplishments are many, so it might be her a while?
No, I'm going to keep it short.
Okay.
And this is my assistant, Nancy Arabia. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Thatcher. I am the high school band director, and standing over here is Nancy Arabia. She is the assistant band director for the Marching Knights. This year was kind of a special year for us. Not only because I'm sure many of you know that we took a trip to Honolulu to represent the U.S. at Pearl Harbor anniversary. The students played right in front of Pearl Harbor, in front of the USS Missouri. They played several pieces, and they marched in a parade to commemorate Pearl Harbor on December 7th. So that was definitely a trip that we will never forget, not only because of the nice warm weather, but because it was an honor to be selected for something of that caliber. We were selected 4 years ago to do the D-Day anniversary in France, and because of our achievements in France, they called us for the Pearl Harbor commemoration. So we are very thankful, and I know these students received many praises from our school and now from the township, so we really do appreciate that. And not to mention our Hawaii accomplishment. This past season, they placed second in national championships at MetLife Stadium they performed. And then, more importantly, they were ranked #1 in the state of New Jersey. So, and one last piece of information that's important to know, you know, every year you have seniors that graduate. Well, I guess it would be a year and a half ago, we had 25 seniors graduate from the Marching Knights. So going into this season, as many coaches would, you know, that lose a large class like that, they would maybe consider that a rebuilding year, which I thought in my mind might have been the case. But we replace them with at least 25 to 30 freshmen and 8th graders, and they achieve this accomplishment. So this says a whole lot about their character, their work ethic. They practice at least 20 hours a week among being some of the highest ranked students in Elbridge High School as far as honor roll, high honor roll. So I can go on and on about the students that I teach. They are truly remarkable human beings, and you know, I am very thankful to be in front of them every day, and they always are pushing me to be a better teacher. So thank you, and congratulations to the Marching Knights. All right. Okay. Samantha Bennett. And there's like 60 of them, so we could applause at the end if you wanted to. It's a lot of them. William Card. Nancy, why don't you come over here and just, can you open them? Open them. Alec DiNapoli. Christopher Cellini.
We got one.
Zachary Dogbasi, Trevor Shahalis, Charlize Duffus.
Nope.
That's Trevor. Joy Trebakwardy. No, that's you. This is Charlie. That's Joy. Joy. Danielle Formica, Justin Chambers, Caleb Gatson, Angelique Chambers. That's Caleb, and Angelique's not here. Michael Giraldo, Akil Gray, Justin Chung. Justin's here. Katie Chow. Congratulations. This is Katie's. Congratulations, Katie. Thank you. Great job. Andrea Guillen Padilla. Angel Sion. Kushi Gupta. Carmen. This not here. Iman Diab.
Congratulations.
Amber Hess. Kyle Mejorada.
Thank you so much. Great job.
Philip Jancic. I don't think he's here. And Carmen's not here. Studi Mohan, Thomas Katriniak. Yes, they're both here. That's Studi. Giovanna Mullen. Not here. Not here. Thomas, yeah. Matthew Lopez. Yusef Montaneo.
Matthew?
Sydney Masonette. She's here. Marion McDonald. Jack Nielsen. Marion. She's coming.
Marion? Congratulations.
Madan Schnigam. Albert O'Keefe. Annika Padin. Narali Parikh. John V. Patel. Ved Patel. Sarah Paul. Sam Poku. Dennis Regorowski. Benjamin Reyes. Matthew Rabayo. Christopher Navarro. Ravi Sangani. Jillian Schmalz. Matthew Schussler. Mina Shafi. Hisham Shafi. That's Mina. Connor Smith. Hisham. Lauren Sternad. Noel Taki. Natalie Torcha. Genevieve Tricoch. Marcelina Tricoch.
Congratulations, good job.
Amanda Tropia. A lot of them couldn't make it because of midterms. Shreya Utakar. Hannah Varghese. Daniel Veach. Mary Wester. Thank you. This is Mary Wester right here.
Congratulations, thank you so much. Good job. Got everybody?
Yeah, we did. Thank you
Congratulations.
so much. Thank you.
Crazy.
Thank you. All right, you ready?
Enjoy the rest of your season, all right?
All right, Owen? Is that the conclusion of the presentations? Okay, I'd like to say, yeah, congratulations to everyone. What a wonderful job. It just shows you what a great town. We're going to take a few minutes break, so if you want to stay, you're welcome to, and if you feel you want to leave, you have a great evening, and thank you again. Okay. Let's. Okay. This evening we have the MUA, the Water Authority, here as part of our best practices. They're going to give us a synopsis of what's been going on and what the future is. Good evening. Can you all, just for the record? I don't know if your mic's on, please. They can hear you at home then. Thank you.
My name is Guy Donatelli. I'm the Executive Director and the License Operator for the Water Division.
And my name is Michael Roy. I'm the Authority Engineer in-house.
Hi, I'm Michelle Smith. I'm the Authority's Controller.
Welcome, everyone. Good evening.
We also have our professionals here, Robert Allison, our Auditor, Wayne Simpson, our Sewer Division Engineer, Ed Traina, Water Division Engineer, and our Attorney, Mitchell Jacobs. And Mike's going to moderate the presentation, so we'll begin.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Donatelli.
We're not ready?
We're not ready. Unless we don't project it.
We'll get Tom in here.
Well, I have a plan
It's
B.
up to you.
I can put a projector on their screen, maybe that's a better way.
Hi.
There is an HDMI, but not one.
Can we get a hold of Tom?
I'm trying. He's on vacation.
Let's see what the wins this work.
We need elevated music.
I texted him, but I guess the mayor already got him.
Mrs. Sohar, while we're waiting, the reason why we're having this presentation is due to the state mandated, we have to, the authorities are required by the state to present to the council in order to secure funding.
Right, this is
So-
what it's what I had said, best practices, each board has to come before us, as you said, and give us a description of, what they do and what the plan is for them for the year.
You're going to have to show it, just talk about it, Mike.
I can't show them.
No, I can't display it.
Well,
That takes a lot away.
yeah. All right. If it's not feasible, then by all means, you can begin.
Well, as you know, last year, this presentation was given by our fearless leader, Art Haney, before he was taken into the loving arms of Jesus. May he rest in peace. Last year, we gave an in-depth presentation on the operation and the financial condition of the authority, and this year we hope to just touch on the highlights of our operations and finances. So it's a whole lot shorter, maybe about an hour and a half. Just kidding. About 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Good Lord.
We have an organizational chart shows, if you saw it, that there was 5 regular members, 2 alternates, and those board members are Frank Weber, as chairman, John Murphy, Dr. Anita Greenberg, Rich Green, Art Carullo, Paul Carlock, and Tom Galenti will start February 1st. We also have our key personnel is Guy Donatelli. He wears 2 hats. He's the water superintendent and also the executive director. Michelle Smith is the chief financial officer or the controller. I'm the authority engineer. and Charlie Winkler is the Sewer Division Superintendent. As you can see, there's 2 council members that are also MUA commissioners, and there's also a current council member that was a past MUA commissioner, Mr. Cahill. Council people have in the past always been MUA commissioners, and they've served as liaison to the council. Our mission statement is that we provide 2 critically vital services to the township residents. The first is a continuous supply of safe drinking water for both domestic use and fire protection, and second, the efficient collection of all household, commercial, sanitary wastewater for treatment. In this mission, we continue our efforts to provide the Township of Elbridge with safe drinking water of a quality that exceeds state and federal standards for safety, while at the same time upgrading and expanding our system to ensure more than adequate supply, even in times of low supply throughout the region and neighboring communities. It's also within our mission to receive, transport, and monitor the wastewater generated by the Elbridge Township residents and businesses in order to protect the environment, with efficiency of service and cost savings at the forefront of our efforts. Guy Donatelli has over 40 years of experience with a T4 and a W4 licensed in water treatment and distribution, which is the highest level of certification in water treatment and distribution in the state. I have over 37 years of experience, a licensed professional engineer. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering with a specialty in environmental engineering, 1981 from Virginia Tech. Charlie Winkler's over 25 years of experience. He has a C4 highest level of certification in the state, licensed in the collection system. And Michelle Smith has over 24 years of experience as a CPA with a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting from Montclair University. So the employee professionalism is there, and our employee succession plan allows for a smooth transition during the loss of retirement of key employees within the organization at all levels of management. All employees are also incentivized to work toward licenses in water and wastewater operations so that they become more knowledgeable of the operations and the current technologies in the industries. There's a number of MUA achievements. The Financial Reporting Achievement Award that's given by the Government Finance Officers Association of the USA and Canada has been something that the MUA has received for the last 14 years in a row. Michelle Smith has received it this year, and previously it was Steve Florek, and less than 1% of government and municipal entities received this award. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, my,
Oh, probably more like the hour and a half.
yeah, it's a, yeah, really.
Yeah. Okay. Now I need my glasses.
Don't touch nothing.
All right.
Move it a foot and it's out.
Thank you. We talked about the Financial Reporting Achievement Award. Also, the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust gave us the Project of the Week Award for the new the fuel facility at our garage on 516. And it was recognized throughout the state. We've had technical advancement in the operation of the water and sewer systems that I'll talk a little bit later. It has to do with our computer controls that we've incorporated into our operations. So our system consists of approximately 300 miles of water mains that vary from 6 to 20 inch in diameter, about 2,000 fire hydrants, 8 groundwater wells, 2 water treatment plants, one on Throckmorton Lane, Route 9, and the other at Pine Street and Route 18. Those are drinking water plants. 3 water booster stations and 8 available water storage tanks that have a total storage capacity of 20 million gallons. The MUA treats approximately 1.5 billion gallons of water each year, and we purchase an additional amount of surface water of approximately 1 billion gallons annually from Middlesex Water Company. We have 300 miles of gravity sewer pipe, force main, and trunk sewers that serve all the drainage areas of the township, including the Rissack Brook area, Deep Run, Runyon, and Lawrence Harbor sewers. The MUA owns, operates, and maintains over 2,000 manholes and 35 wastewater pump stations throughout the township that collects and conveys approximately 2 billion gallons annually of wastewater to the county, to the Middlesex County Utilities Authority for wastewater treatment. Robert Allison, our auditor, made a statement that he said we noted no transactions entered into the Elbridge MUA during the year for which there is a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. All significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statements in the proper period. The financial statement disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear, whatever that means. Sounds like we're doing something right, though. This slide shows that Elbridge has had no operational cost increases for 15 years. Let me explain the columns here. The first column shows the water division operational rate increases for the past approximately 15 years, since 2005. The next column shows the sewer division operational rate increases for the same period of time. The third column shows the water division pass-through costs from Middlesex Water Company rate increases over that period of time. And the last column shows the sewer division pass-throughs from the county increases of our wastewater treatment plant, wastewater treatment costs at MCUA. You can see the increases recently for Middlesex Water Company is about 3.2%, and we absorbed the wastewater increase. You may say, how did we keep our cost for operations so low over all this time? How did we keep it down to zero? Well, like other businesses, during the recession, we downsized. So we went from 100 employees to about 66 employees with the help of technology that we added to our operations. This reduction was made through attrition. We didn't lay anybody off. So over this period of time, if we had 4 people retire, we hired 2 or 3. If there were 2 people retired, we hired 1. And over time, we reduced the workload. And this was all done at the same time that the population in Elbridge was growing. Between the 2000 census and the 2010 census, the population in Elbridge grew by about 5,000 people. So when the 2000 to 2020 census is taken, if the same amount of growth takes place, that means that we were able to reduce our employee staff by over 30%, with a population growth in the township of about 10,000 people. We can't go any lower than that with our operational employee staff without jeopardizing our level of service. But that reduction in staff did help us keep control of the budget, and we were able to not raise rates due to operation costs alone. You could see the increases that were passed along from Middlesex Water Company because of the surface water that we had to buy, and MCUA because of the treatment costs. So how did we get in that situation where we had to buy surface water and we had to have someone else treat the wastewater in the township? Well, what happened was the DEP. In the 1980s, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, ordered that utilities that withdraw groundwater from certain aquifers that the DEP deemed threatened from saltwater intrusion be cut back the amount of groundwater withdrawal. Now, Elbridge, our groundwater well capacity was 8 million gallons a day. It was cut back in half to about 4 million gallons a day. That was what appeared on our new allocation permit. That required additional water be purchased from surface water sources. We couldn't get it from any groundwater source. We had to buy it from a surface water source. So the contract with Middlesex Water Company provided the additional surface water needed to avoid a moratorium on building in Elbridge. Unfortunately, Middlesex Water Company raised the water rate an average of 8% per year for the past 20 years. On the sewer side, the DEP regionalized the wastewater treatment in the state. So they required that all wastewater treatment plants operate to a higher level of wastewater treatment that included a biological removal of sanitary waste from the wastewater collection from residents and businesses. The DEP solution to this new requirement was to expand and upgrade regional county wastewater treatment plants and make all other municipal utilities and communities abandon their primary treatment plants. So before the 80s, Elbridge, Sayreville, South Amboy, and all the towns north of the Raritan also had their own treatment plants, their own primary plants, and they all had to abandon them and pump to regional county treatment plants. So because of that DEP decision, the Elbridge MUA no longer treats its own wastewater, but only collects wastewater throughout the township and transmits it to the Middlesex County Utilities Authority in Sayreville for wastewater treatment. So our overall financial status is that the MUA has budgeted sufficient funds to run its operations. We have no rate increases due to operations. Rate increases have been passed along for the additional costs that come from Middlesex Water Company and the Middlesex County Utilities Authority that have been forced upon us by DEP regulations. We have enough funds in reserve in case of catastrophic events, and we always obtain the lowest available interest rates for repairs, maintenance, and upgrades of our assets. This is a picture of our operation at the water plant on Throckmorton Lane. And the technology that we've incorporated into our operations has allowed us to downsize our employee force because of these computer-based systems. In this picture, you can see pictures of water tanks and pumps. We are able to monitor and control pumps within the water system and water tanks. And it saves a lot on labor costs because of our ability to monitor it and control it from a headquarters. This is a picture of our sewer division. We also have a computer-based monitoring system that monitors all of the 35 sewer pump stations throughout the town with alarms and ways of trending and measuring the flow and so forth, so that it can all be done from a headquarters. That saves money. This is a picture of our mobile-based meter reading system. I think last year I showed you a video of us driving down the street taking meter readings. And so this is a picture of how we read meters in the vehicle as we drive by the homes. And the way that it works is, think of Easy Pass technology, where there's a transponder on the meter and you're able to get the meter reading and the account information by radio transmission and it's picked up by a receiver in the vehicle, and we can read, if we needed to, we could read the entire township in about a week. The information, the meter reading information is then can be downloaded to a flash drive and then uploaded in the billing office. So it actually saves labor on both sides, in the field and also in the office, because that meter reading information doesn't have to be entered manually into the computer. We've also implemented monthly billing for those people that are interested, and we continue to offer the Senior Citizens Discount Program. Maintenance. On our water division, we maintain our valves by exercising them. We flush the hydrants and maintain the hydrants to make sure that they're properly operating. And we do the water main repairs as needed, which sometimes come at the worst times, but we have a crew that gets out and fixes all of the water main breaks. We pride ourselves on preemptively maintaining and servicing our infrastructure in compliance with DEP regulations. On the wastewater side, we maintain it we clean the sewers by jetting them, clean them out. We take care of our pumps. This is a picture of a grinder that we've installed at our pump stations so that it protects the pumps, so that if, say, a sneaker or a monster comes down the sewer, it will be ground up and not plug up the pump. And this is a picture of how we inspect the inside of sewer pipes via CCTV equipment. If the condition of the pipe warrants it, we'll line it to extend the life of it. And one thing I think you could say about the MUA is we do not neglect our assets. We take care of them, we rehabilitate them, we inspect them, we repair them, and we upgrade them as necessary so that they remain reliable. This is a recent upgrade and rehabilitation project that we did in Knollcroft, where we replaced the entire development 6-inch cast iron water main that was the original water main from 50, almost 60 years ago. It was about 5,000 feet of pipe, and as you can see, the 6-inch pipe, because of deterioration, corroded down to a smaller size, maybe even 4-inch in diameter. That was replaced with an 8-inch PVC plastic pipe, and that greatly increased the fire protection in that area and also the pressure for the homeowners, the domestic use. So, the Elbridge MUA takes pride in being a financially sound, well-operated organization, as well as having an outstanding reputation throughout the state and an outstanding IT guy. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to clarify something real quick. The senior discount, that's set by the state, am I correct? It's not by the council, not by yourself or any of your commissioners, am I correct? I just want to clarify that. It's by the state? Senior discount? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. A few people were confused recently, and I just wanted to make sure I was giving accurate information. Thank you.
Any of the council have comments or questions?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes. Perhaps we have residents that truly believe that they pay way too much for their water. And why is Elbridge so much more than surrounding municipalities? Can you just explain that?
Well, I don't know if they necessarily are higher than all the surrounding areas. If you ever went down to Howell, you would see a number much higher than ours. We did a study one time of 20 or 30 towns, and we were right in the middle, just pretty much right in the middle. Some of the towns are able to transfer some of the costs over to the tax base. We don't. We're separate. So we think that we're pretty reasonable, and we're right in the middle of the pack as far as the costs that we see when we look around in the area.
I mean, is it basically because of the size of your infrastructure, your maintaining of the infrastructure?
Yeah,
I know it's nice to have a drink of water and then a half hour later be able to go get rid of that water and just hit a button and it is gone.
Well, and that's an important point you're making. Not every town is the same. It's not like you can look at one town and say it's exactly the same as the other. We have 40 square miles of area. We have a lot of area to travel to, convey it, pump it. It's all costs. And other places that are more condensed, or don't have to convey their wastewater as far. They don't have to pump it as far for drinking water. And there's also an issue of it being shared with the cost of the township. If they share a building, there's not a cost that they have that's separate like ours.
I think half of the problem might be that minimal billing. I mean, we have a lot of senior citizens that don't utilize, a lot of your water, and they feel that they're paying way too much.
Well,
for the water.
it's sometimes looked at the wrong way. It's not a minimum bill that gives you that much water. It's a minimum bill to be connected up to the system, to our system, to have water and to have sewer. Now, what happens is if you go over that amount of 6,000, then you get surcharged. So it doesn't mean that you need to get up to the 6,000, or what you use less than 6,000, that is what you use to calculate what your cost is. It's a fixed charge, minimum charge, that then you add on a surcharge when you go over 6,000 gallons for the quarter. We've done it. We did a study with an accountant where we did look at how the costs would come out for a senior citizen if we looked at going from 0 gallons and paying for every gallon. And it actually was higher because, in fact, the higher end users are actually subsidizing the low end users.
So basically, it's like the snowbirds go away for the winter, and they have their electric in their house because they have to maintain that, the heat, the gas, the electric, and they have a minimum charge on that.
Yes, it's a minimum charge.
All right.
Anyone else for questions on this side? Mr.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for coming tonight, and I wanted to commend everybody, especially your men out in the field, men and women out in the field who, work in all kinds of extraordinary weather. Just wanted to commend them. I know I saw them last week with numerous breaks during the Arctic blast we had coming to town. So I just want to say thanks to everybody. You do a great job. Thank you.
Anyone else on this side of the dais on my left? How about Mr. Piscitti?
Yeah, hi. I also want to commend you guys for doing a really good job. I appreciate it. Just have a couple questions. You guys take care of all the fire hydrants in town? Now, do other towns do that?
It's mandated now that all the fire hydrants, whether they're under the control of the authority or if they're private to a to a development such as an apartment complex or commercial property, they also have to get an outside source to take care of their hydrants, and that gets inspected by the fire commissioner. But ours is inspected by the state. We have to maintain the hydrants, put them in a GIS, and it has to be done once a year. And then when we get our inspections, we can show, that we're keeping up with what we're supposed to do.
So when we're comparing to other towns, the other towns also, their utility authority take care of their hydrants, or does the fire department take care of the hydrants, or is it all
No,
different?
it's supposed to be the utility or the water purveyor, whether it's private or public. They're the ones that are supposed to take care of the hydrants. It's just in most cases, the fire districts pay a fee for that. Here in Elbridge, you know, we don't charge.
Okay, thank you for that. During Superstorm Sandy, you know, I know my water never went off and my toilet's flushed, thank God. So that kudos to you guys. Now, I heard that it was coming to a point of being critical that you were going to run out of diesel fuel. I don't know if that's true or not. I just heard a rumor. Was that true? Was the diesel fuel close to critical running out for us in the town during Superstorm Sandy?
Not for us. The governor actually stepped in and made sure all the water purveyors had priority, especially the wastewater systems, to make sure none of the pump stations or anything went down. So we were able to get fuel, and we transported fuel to basically between the water and sewer. We had 40 stations that we were keeping running during that time.
Okay, thank you very much.
We did have to run down to Delaware to get some fuel, but that's why we built that second fuel facility by the garage as well. So we had, down in Lawrence Harbor, we had 10,000 gallons of diesel fuel. Part of the time it was isolated because of the flooding. So by having a second fueling facility here more central to the township, in the event of that kind of catastrophe again, we have a secondary place to have fuel on site.
That's great. So that was mitigated.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I want to thank you for putting the reflective tapes on the fire hydrants. It's really good for the fire companies to identify the hydrants right away. And also, I want to thank you for not passing the cost for maintaining the fire hydrants along to the fire companies, because as you know, some of the fire companies have very small budgets and they wouldn't be able to afford it. And also, I want the people at home to know they think their bills are high, but they have to realize because of the DEP regulations, you have to buy the water from Middlesex, and that's where the costs is coming from. I don't think the people understand that.
And also, I want to add that because we're talking about such an essential service, drinking water and wastewater collection, we make sure that we put the money into the system to make it reliable, because overall it must be reliable. As Mr. Pischetti said, during Hurricane Sandy we did not lose service. That was because of all our generators were working and all of our system was up to par and working. So we had a reliable system that does take money that we put into it to make sure that these assets are top-notch.
And I just want to thank the workers, because there were a lot of water main breaks last week in the cold, and I really felt really sorry for them out in that cold. Thank you. Great job.
Anyone else?
Yes, I would just want to say, with the best practices, the authorities come in front of the council to give a presentation, and I will have to say that the MUA has given the most detailed and thorough presentation, and I think it sheds light on the operation so people have a better understanding of the process. And I appreciate you taking the time and the presentation, and I hope that it answered a lot of questions for people, and hope they understand that water and sewer is essential to life, and it's really, as far as civilization, made a difference, and for your health, and I think you're doing an outstanding job when you think that we're 42 square miles, and some of these pipes have been, as you know, under the ground. The project you just did in Knollcroft is amazing, how you changed the water pressure and everything down there and the improvements. And when we do have these breaks, when it is so cold out, and then yesterday it was 60 degrees, that's what happens. The pipes, you know, freeze, contract, relax, and then you get these breaks, and they're underground, and there's no way that you're going to know it till the pressure changes and we do it. But I can tell you, in this town, there's other towns where that happens. The water's turned off, and they'll say, we'll get to it. Well, these people, as you know, they've been so responsive, whether it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out there. And it's not an easy job, so thank you once again.
Anyone else have comments? Then I'll close the comments by also saying thank you for coming and for giving us.
Council President, I'm sorry. I'd just like to ask a few questions.
Oh, sure. Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
For informational purposes. Thanks again, Mike, professionals, for coming out. I know it's a pretty big task to come here before the council and make a presentation. But you touched on some things, Mike, just, to improve the scope of how big your system is. How many residential users do you have right now in Elbridge?
No, what do you say?
6,000 and non-residential?
No, how many?
How many non-residential? If we can get the numbers, I think it's helpful to have this, how big the system is. I know you said this.
We have 20,000 customers. We have 20,000 accounts.
20,000 total residential.
There's 20,000 accounts, water and sewer accounts. That's both commercial and residential.
Okay, great. 20,000. Mike, you touched on the Knowlcroft project. I think it's important that the council, the residents know what's next, where we're going next, because it does have an impact on that section of the community. So, and really, I thank you for upgrading. Nothing's more important than having good, sound infrastructure. But with that comes,
yeah,
where
on
we
the
going
drawing
next?
board, what we have is another project over in the Lawrence Harbor area of the President's section, where over the years, it's an older part of the town where first there was 2-inch water mains put in, then 4-inch, then 6. And when the 6-inch lines were put in the 60s, that was for fire protection. They put fire hydrants around. And what they didn't do was they didn't switch over the services of everybody from a 4-inch line to a 6. All they did was interconnect the 6 with the 4, kind of like reinforcing it. So what we're going to do now is we want to abandon that 4-inch, because when it breaks, we've got to basically shut off the large area because we can't isolate, and it puts a lot of people out of service, and it's a maintenance problem because it does also break a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over all of the services from the 4-inch. It's going to be a tedious job, but we're going to switch them all over to the 6-inch so we can abandon the 4-inch. And it's going to make a lot of trenches through the road, so we're going to also pave curb to curb.
When do you think that's going to happen? Is that going to happen in 19, or is that going to be 20?
We're hoping to get it through, because it's going to be one of those low-interest loans. So we're subject to the DEP. Sometimes they sit on things a little bit. So we're hoping that we can get that approval quickly and get it out sometime this year out to bid.
Okay. And thank you for working with Nicole, our engineering department, with your projects. We get a lot more roads paved, working together instead of doing half the road or just a trench. We've used the system along with PSE and G, so we're getting a lot better product after the project is completed, a more complete, finished look. Are there any new infrastructure, I don't mean upgrades, but any new infrastructure projects on the horizon? I know we did the big one a few years ago. You did the big one a few years ago with the Interceptor. Is there any new projects?
Well, we have an infrastructure project that you're not going to see because it's an improvement to 12 of our sewer pump stations. So it's all going to be contained on site of each of the pump stations, and it's going to be an improvement for us because it's going to put in those grinders that you saw that we protect our pumping system from, because that's a maintenance problem. We have to always go and unclog the pumps from material. So that is going to be something that will not be seen. But after that, the only thing I can think of is maybe some reinforcement of some pipes in the Lawrence Harbor area, maybe the end of Industrial Drive. You know how the solar farm brought the water line down to the railroad tracks. So we could do a project where we would extend that over to the other side, and it helps with pressure and getting water in and out of that tank, because there's a bottleneck when you go down Mattawan Road, Lawrence Harbor, to the railroad tracks, where the railroad tracks are cross. There's just a small line that crosses there, and it causes a bottleneck out onto 35, where there's proposal for a project down at the end of 35 by the bridge. So it causes a little bit of a pressure problem down Lawrence Harbor. Lawrence Harbor has the lowest pressures in the whole township, just because of its history of having small lines and bottlenecks. So we would try to reinforce those areas down Lawrence Harbor.
Was there a section of infrastructure that was perhaps in danger of getting undermined or exposed because of beach erosion?
The force main that goes along the beach there, right by the police station, sometimes gets eroded away. And we were looking at that and studying that to see how extensive we would want to have a beach preservation project done. The problem is that if we do something that would really protect the erosion, then people can't use the beach. So we were trying to do something that would balance that out. If you look over by the police station, you see all the riprap there. And that solves the problem, but that also blocks the beach. So there is some tubes that can be put down, the problem that might help, and so forth, maybe a wall. But our force main through there is completely encased in concrete. So we're protected. There isn't an environmental hazard. It's just that it's a tripping hazard, or it's a hazard of somebody falling into an eroded trench that I believe Nicole was working on with someone at the state, and we are also in the wings waiting to see if there's something that we can also do to help.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Do we still have people in Elbridge that are not serviced by water and/or sewer, or pretty much everybody on city water? Do we still have residential wells anywhere in town?
There are still some wells. Boy, what streets would they be? Because it used to be that the southwest area. Yeah, the southwest area of the Matchaponics Road used to be wells, but
there's water there now.
That water with Woodhaven coming in.
Valley Road, there's areas.
Yeah, when you go through what was going to be the O&Y property, the O&Y area that's now the county, when you go, it's parts of Pleasant Valley Road do have a water main, but then once you go further toward Englishtown Road, there's nothing down there. So you have a, sparsely developed area, so you don't have a water main down there.
I think overall that's shrinking, no? Less and less people are having to go with wells, and we're getting them on city water.
Oh, yeah.
As development occurs and the developers have to bring the water mains in.
It was the southwest area that, from the time I was here, that needed water and sewer, and, when Woodhaven came in, a lot of that was picked up with Woodhaven Development, Atlantic Realty.
And we have sections that are supplied with city water, but not sewerage, right? We have people still installing septic tanks in certain areas of the town, or replacing their existing.
Same area, basically.
Yeah, there's spots here and there. I know the car dealership by the Outback Steakhouse. I think there's just some areas that kind of got isolated into an island, and I don't think I think they have a septic, and I don't know if Charlie's here, if he knows of any other areas where there's septic.
There's a lot of areas that aren't covered by the sewer system,
Not a lot, but where would they?
We're still doing a few septic tank pump outs per month.
Where would they be?
Sparsely located areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's South Elbridge, just like I'm saying, there's a lot of Joy Lane.
But just like Atlantic Realty, we're not going to come in and spend a lot of money in extending it to one or two houses. We're going to piggyback on developers. So when, a piece of property is going to get developed, we'll tell them, what other areas need to be picked up. as a condition of their approval.
And that was that area is also shrinking. We're getting more and more residents. High-quality drinking water and safe, efficient removal of sewage as opposed to, there's nothing worse with a septic system that doesn't work.
Right.
And they're very expensive to fix.
Right, but the ratepayers now don't want us to spend a lot of money going to pick up one house or two houses.
I think that's it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mike. 10 years ago or so when I was there, is it still the law that if you put water in front of the house, you don't have to sign up, but if you're within so many hundreds of feet of sewer, you do have to take it? Because I know there's a couple houses on Shady Oak that still don't have water, I think, because they don't want it.
Yeah, there was a state ordinance, state statute.
Okay, but they don't, if you can put water in front of the house, they can keep their own well still, right?
There was also a township ordinance.
Right.
But the enforcement of it was not very strict.
Right.
If somebody had a hardship, you didn't make them do it.
Okay. But water, can we make them do it now with the township ordinance?
I think that that township ordinance has since been rescinded.
Oh, okay. All right, that's all I wanted to ask.
Mayor, just one question to piggyback on what the mayor was asking. Mike, you had a graphic up there of the Knollcroft job, and it appeared that the rest of Cliffwood Beach on that side of the highway was being done. Is that in the plans, Ocean Boulevard and that?
It is a future project beyond the harbor project. Ocean Boulevard especially. It's going to be a little difficult. As you know, it's a concrete road, and there's not a lot of room on either side, so we're looking at that, and basically that's the main road that's still left to get rid of, an old cast iron line from the 1920s, and there's still some galvanized services off of that that we're going to want to get rid of.
Is there anyone else from the council for comments? All right, seeing no hands, I will, okay, go ahead.
Say something?
Sure.
Hi.
Why
I just
not?
wanted to, IT guy needs to add one thing. I just wanted to mention that the Water Authority tries very hard to communicate to the residents when there's a water break, especially in winter, what's been happening. We have a Facebook page, it's OBMUA. We have a Twitter page. These are accessible on our website. And the one thing that we pride ourselves in, compared to other communities, being that was raised, when there's a water break, we try very hard to explain to people, tell them before it's going to happen, because we know it's a controlled shutdown because there's a water main break. But for instance, today we knew it happened in Winding Brook Drive, and we were able to specify exactly what units, what houses were going to be affected. And I got to tell you, living in this area, I see Nixle with Sayreville and other municipalities, and they'll just say, you know, the road has, or that neighborhood has a break, and we go the extra mile to physically tell people exactly what houses and what units are affected. So I know that it's a team effort. We have guys that go out in the field that talk about it. Our water operators know about it, and we try very hard to do the best we can do for the residents of the town.
Anyone else have any comments or? Okay, I'll close the portion. I also think that you're good stewards of the money, that you try to consider the balance between your infrastructure, your improvements, and your residents, your ratepayers. And I know this last week, my residents, I had a lion's share there at Cherry Creek and so on of different developments, and your communication component is excellent. People feel that you do communicate, you let them know what's going on because it's a very essential item. So I just want to thank you also for that. I think that relationship is good with the residents. I think we need that, more of that. So thank you very much for coming tonight and making your presentation. Thank you, Jim.
Mrs. Chairwoman, I think a woman in the audience has a question.
I think we do a public at this. Can public comment? No. Yeah, no, there's no public comment at this time. Yeah, you can comment at the end of the meeting, absolutely. We ready, Stella? No. Okay. Next will be council appointments. The first one is Open Space Committee. Term expires 12/31/2021.
I nominate Sue Blooming.
I second it.
Okay, nominated by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Open Space Committee, term expires 12/31/2021.
I nominate Doreen Chevalier.
Second.
Nominated by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Now, the rent stabilization, Stella, which ones did you get resumes for?
Well, just the landlord. Actually, no, you don't have them with me. Oh, God. Yeah, number 7, we got one
Okay.
for 7.
Rent stabilization vacancy, landlord term expires 12/31/2021.
I nominate Gina Talama.
I'll second it.
Okay, nominated by Dr. Greenberg Belli. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes. Redevelopment Agency, Class A council member, term expires 12/31/2019.
I'll
I
nominate
nominate-
Tony Piscitty.
I second it.
Oh, quick. Who did that?
Nominated by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker. I'm sorry, the other way, Mrs.
Sorry.
Walker. Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Parking and Transportation Committee, term expires 12/31/2021.
I nominate Phil McGovern.
Second.
Dr. Greenberg, Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
For parking, did you get any more resumes? Yeah, the resumes here, right? Okay, all right. So the next one is Parking and Transportation Committee. Term expires 12/31/2021.
Council President, I nominate Zishan Siddiqui.
Second.
Second by John Murphy.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
All right, so that concludes Parking and Transportation. All right. Recreation Advisory Board vacancy, unexpired term of 12/31/2019.
I nominate Nick Bodie, B-O-T-T-E. Oh, sorry. I nominate Nick Bodie, B-O-T-T-E.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Recreation Advisory Board vacancy, unexpired term of 12/31/2019.
Council President.
Yes.
I nominate Mohammed Sikander.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Zoning Board vacancy, unexpired term, 12/31/2021.
I nominate John Dewhurst.
I second it.
Nominated by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next, Mayor with council concurrence. Library Board, term expires 12/31/2023. Kevin Borsili, now serving, requests reappointment.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to say Kevin is a very active, very productive member, and because of people like Mr. Baselli on the board, the library continues to meet the needs of our community. So Mr. Baselli is a good person for this position.
I
He's
move
proven
it.
Move it.
Who moved it?
Murphy.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes, Councilman Murphy. Yes, Cahill.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you, Council.
Approval of minutes of previous meetings, combined meeting December 10th, 2018.
I move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next will be the bill listing. Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, January 28, 2019, $4,045,212.64.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, January 4, 2019, $925,482.82.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, January 4, 2019, $52,391.68.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Can we have a breakout, please?
Thank you, Council President. The payroll ending January 4th, 2019, sworn police overtime was in the amount of $23,062.93. There were $0 in the amount of grants and $0 in earned time off. This represents a total of 325.5 man and women hours. There were 2 holidays, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, within that time period, and there were 3 officers injured on duty. For payroll ending 1/18/2019, there was sworn police overtime in the amount of $24,287.52. In the amount of grants were $0. Earned time off was $6,803.09 for a total of $17,484.43. This represented 365.25 man and women hours, and injured on duty were 2 officers during that time period.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Shapiro.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, January 18, 2019, $1,062,686.54.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Walker moved it. Mr. Rizzoli, second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, January 18, 2019, $37,703.16.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Rizzoli. And can we have a breakout, please?
I'll break it out again. I did do it combined, but for January 18, 2019, sworn police overtime was $24,287.52. There were $0 in the amounts of grant during that period. Earned time off was $6,803.09 for a total of $17,484.43, a total of 365.25 man and women hours, and there were 2 officers injured on duty during that period.
Thank you again.
Okay. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. There are no ordinances for second reading this evening. Preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on any subject matters for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Nobody signed the listing.
Okay, since no one signed, I will close the public portion, and now we will go to council member comments. Anyone on my left? Mr. Murphy.
Yes, I have some comments and questions. I don't know who I addressed this question to. I was going to address it to Mr. Macho. Are you the acting administrator? Okay. I've been hearing some things. I just want to know if they're true. Are the new employees coming in that work in the field and stuff like that, are they being allowed to join the union, or are they not joining the union? I heard they're not letting them join you. Is that true?
Every job is posted, whether it's union or non-union, and we don't say who can join and who can't. The employee applying for that position, if it's a union position, they join the union, yes.
Okay.
Automatically.
That takes care of that.
But if it's a non-union, confidential,
Yeah, no,
they're
I
not allowed
understand
to
that.
join. Right.
I understand. The other thing was, are they automatically put into the direct deposit? Or do they have a choice on that?
I believe we made it a requirement for new hires to get direct deposit.
Okay, I thought we had voted, well, we'll discuss that at the next meeting. I'll bring that up for discussion at the next meeting. Also, I have another thing I want to just talk about. I know I've talked about this business administrator's report quite a bit. I went through about 6 months of the report last night. 6 months of Mr. Shaw's reports. 80 to 90%. At the end, it said, go www.Olbridge for any more information. Basically, that's what it is. He could just say that, and that would basically be his report. Second of all, it's a lot of stuff on there like cleanup, leaf, pickup, Olbridge, OBMUA, flushing, stuff that people really aren't concerned about. And he talks about the litter. He doesn't say where it's going to be or anything. But the thing that annoys me more than anything is there are things that are not talked about on the report and not found, such as the Special Olympics being held in Olbridge, the Mariana Rivera making an appearance in Elbridge, the girls' soccer team from England visiting Elbridge, the Elbridge boys playing and winning the state championship in volleyball. And most recently, we weren't even informed that they were going to hire new cops. And what I want to say, I've looked at the agenda, at her report tonight, and her very first thing on here is also on the consent agenda. And it makes no more sense on here than it does on the consent agenda. It doesn't even tell us what it's there for, so I'm going to talk about that later. But what I would like to do, being that he's not here, and I don't feel any of this stuff really has to be read tonight, I would like to make a motion that we don't read the report tonight. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Cahill?
No.
Dr. Greenberg? No. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Sohar?
No.
3 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention.
That's all I have.
Okay, you through, Mr. Murphy? Okay. Anyone else on my left here for council comments?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Berwin?
Several meetings ago, I brought up about the parking lot lights in multiple lots throughout the township that Jersey Central charges us to light the lights, specifically the Lawrence Harbor beachfront, where there's 10 of those lights not functioning. The Pirates Cove, where there's 2 of those lights not functioning. And they're all throughout the township. And we pay a lot of money for that. I mean, the ones in the Lawrence Harbor beachfront have been out for 2 years. We've been trying to get them fixed. And the Pirates Cove, there's a basketball court there, no lights. And it was supposed to break out how much we were paying for them, so I haven't received that report. But I've talked to Jim Markey. He was supposed to go out and check it, and I don't know what he's done with it because I haven't heard back from him. But these are things, either they fix them or they should be adjusting our bills, because just in Ward 1, in the beginning of December, I advised Jersey Central of 53 street lights out. Now, doing a recheck a month and a half later, I have a list of 43, and I didn't even do the whole ward. So, I mean, if it's just Ward 1 where there's 50 street lights out, imagine what's around the town, and we're paying a lot of money for this stuff. So I think not only the money we're paying, the reason the lights are there are for safety, for crime protection, and we're just not getting the bang for our buck here, or the light for our dollar. So I would like administration to get on top of that and advise, Jersey Central that we're really concerned about this.
We'll reach out to Jersey Central and verify that they are, in fact, they're supposed to be maintaining those poles. I know sometimes we've reached frustration when there's no tag on the pole and everybody denies that's not their pole, it's not their pole, it's not their light. But at the end of the day, you're right, they need to be turned on regardless of who owns them. And if it's our responsibility, we'll get them on.
Well, it's not ours. We know it's theirs. Believe me, we know it. And it doesn't matter whose poles it is. It's Jersey Central lights. Even if it's a Bell telephone, it's still Jersey Central's light. The Lawrence Harbor Senior Building is, I had the police department go and check it. They didn't get back to me. It's accessible. There's possibly somebody living in it. That's what the neighbors are telling me, that somebody's going in and out.
Well, we've had professionals going in the building. It's being prepped for demolition. It should be gone soon.
I've been hearing that for years now. So
I know, me too. We're close.
We're
very
close?
close, yes.
All right. And basically that's it right now. Thank you.
Mrs. Soler?
Yes, Mr. Cahill.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment tonight, but I really have to respond to this issue with the administrative report. I mean, I'm stunned that anybody would vote against trying to provide information to the community. I mean, this basically is over and above. It was started with Mr. Marion when he was here, and the intent was to provide an overview of things that are going on in the township. It's informational. It takes, when we read it, it takes maybe 5 minutes to 7 minutes to read. It's put into the records, and then people can read it online. It's there for the public's benefit. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with it. Now, you could quibble with what's in it, and maybe there needs to be some adjustments to the information that's put on here, because some people feel like they're not getting appropriate information. But the report itself is done for the constituents, so the constituents can see what is going on in the township over and above. And sometimes the reason why things are on the administrative report and they're on the agenda is an explanation to say, this is going to be on the consent agenda. This is what this is about. So I'm stunned that anybody would actually take exception to a document that is just really trying to provide information to the public. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that. My bigger concern
And I'll
is...
respond to what he says.
All right,
We'll
John.
go back and forth.
John,
I want to respond. I'm a councilman. I have that right.
No, you are. But she's running the meeting.
My main concern is what they don't tell us. The mayor and Mr. Amacho was at every one of those events. That's not something we should be privy to. Come on, the Special Olympics being in Elbridge, we shouldn't be privy to that. If he would put stuff on there like that and other things, I'd have no problem. He's putting on things that do make a difference, but he's saying just see the Elbridge website for further information. He's not putting on the most important things that the council and the people want to be there. That's my problem.
You expressed your opinion now on what you felt you wanted to see. So that being said, I'm going to move on to other people's comments. How about anyone else on this side of the, no? Okay. How about on my right? Mr. Pischetti.
Yeah, hi. I've been getting complaints about, water backing up in numerous areas in the town. And, when I was the president of the Rams football many, many years ago, there's a waterway back there. And what happened was that waterway started to get backed up. And all it was is brush. It was trees, branches, leaves, just clogging up the waterways. And the water was backed up. So, I called the county, and they came down and they looked at it, and they sent a backhoe, and they actually trudged the whole thing, and then the water flowed. It was great. It took them a couple days. I was wondering if, as a town, we're having a town-wide problem. There's areas of the town, I just went White Oak Lane, the end of White Oak Lane, there's a gully that runs down there. That's all backing up when we have just an average rain, and it's just all backing up. So I took a walk back there, and that's what it is. It's just branches and leaves and stuff, but it would be a big job to clear out those waterways into the creeks and into the Runyon watershed or wherever those waterways go to. And is there anything as a town we can do? Can we, either reach out to the county or the state to help us with our waterways? Because the water's backing up in all our streets.
It's, I guess, the perfect storm, no pun intended, with the wettest December on record. Admitted that the water table is very high in Elbridge right now, like our surrounding communities. Kyle can maybe address this. We've bought some equipment that can get back into these areas and clear them out. But we have to be very careful, as an engineer will tell us, with DEP.
Right.
We know how powerful they are. And we have to get permits for desnagging, something like that. But let us know where the areas are and we'll work on them.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we get, sometimes we see them and we'll be proactive, but there's some that we can't get to because there's pipes that are collapsed.
Yeah. So from what I saw on White Oak Lane was it's backing up. It's got to be miles.
And that's a major waterway.
Yeah.
Major.
Thank you. I didn't want to put extra work on the town's plate. I thought maybe the county or the state could help. Thank you.
Anyone else on my right? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I want to talk about the Business Administrator's report as well. As some of you know, Mr. Marion instituted that when he was the BA, and I think it's a great asset. It gives the residents a lot of information that they might not otherwise have. There's a lot of senior citizens out there that don't have computers, and they can't go online and look at things. Also, the consent agenda, when we get it, anybody who's been here, it's just a list of numbers, and if we vote it all at once, you don't even know, if it's not separated, what we're voting on. So at home, you really don't have an idea what we're talking about. So when it is put on here, something special, and it's explained, the people at home understand it. And I don't think that we should ever stop giving people at home more information. We want to try to be as transparent as possible, and I'm really shocked that there are council people up here that would want to do away with this important, I think, part of the meeting.
Anyone else on my right? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, I just want to thank Kyle Harris and the road department. From Deerwood Development, they called, there's a brook back there that was blocked up and flooded, and they responded very quickly and remediated the problem, and I appreciated that, and I was asked to thank them tonight personally from the Homeowners Association.
Anyone else? All right, I will close the council comments this evening by speaking on something of a more personal note. Many of you know that 2.5 years ago, my son was put on a double organ transplant donor list. Well, I'm very happy to say that our prayers were answered, and he received the dual transplant last week. And so far, he seems to be doing well. So I wanted to thank all the residents in Elbridge for the prayers, the good thoughts, the donations that they gave for his fund. This is an amazing town. I want to thank the class of 1999, which is my son's graduating class of Elbridge High School. They are an amazing group of young men and women. They have supported him. They have encouraged him. They have given so much to him. Their time, their prayers, donations, an amazing group of people. There's 2 young ladies, Jen D'Antuno and Sally Cardinal, that did all the fundraising relentlessly trying to help. So I just want to say thank you to them, all the teachers that taught my children, that reached out, Skippy Delaney, Tom Quinlan, Mr. Petrillo. There's so many of them, Walt Reed, that this is an amazing town. We have such a great people that live here, and from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everyone on my son's behalf. Thank you all so very much. Next will be the report of the Township Clerk, please.
None at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Report of the Township Attorney.
Just quickly, Councilwoman Brown had requested some information at the last meeting, and as of today, the police department indicated they were not, the numbers weren't finalized. They didn't want to give anything prematurely, so we should have that for the next meeting.
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
What's that in reference to?
I believe it had to do with the volunteer squads. You met with Mr. Roselli and so forth.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually brought up at the meeting, though. The public meeting, it wasn't. But
no, it wasn't. It wasn't part of the public
right.
meeting, but I know that you were, Mr. Shaw asked me to let you know, so I'm just letting you know that that information is not ready yet.
Let me know that there's nothing to know?
What's that?
Okay. You basically let me know that there's nothing to know?
I'm letting you know that the information that was supposed to be provided to you is not ready yet.
But it's been addressed, okay.
All right, thank you.
Right. I'm sorry, Ms. Ward, you said you had something?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. We did have an Ethics Board appointment open, but it was for the clergy. Letters again went out to all the houses of worship in Elbridge, and we're hoping to get somebody that may be interested, that may want to serve.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, no, thank you for that update. It's appreciated. Do we have to vote on it? Okay. All right, next will be the administrative report.
Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thanks,
This is the administrative report dated January 25th, 2019. Item number 1, municipal complex improvements. Bids were received and opened in public on December 27th, 2018 at 10 a.m. for the municipal complex improvement contract number 2018-33. 5 contractors submitted bids that ranged from $509,535.65 to $1,405,000. $1,405,477.50. Miko Inc. is the lowest bidder at $509,535.65. Award of their contract has been included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction is anticipated to begin in spring of 2019. The project is funded through capital bonds. Item number 2, Christmas tree collections. The Department of Public Works has concluded Christmas tree pickup in all wards as of January 25th. Residents that still have trees should email the road department at publicworks@oldbridge.com. Item number 3, 2019 municipal budget. The State Division of Local Government Services has notified municipalities that the Local Finance Board has modified the statutory dates for introduction and adoption of the municipal budget for calendar year 2019. The statutory dates for the introduction and approval of the budget has been changed from February 10, 2019 to March 29, 2019. The statutory dates for budget adoption has been changed from March 20, 2019 to April 30th, 2019. The mayor's proposed budget will be transmitted to the Township Council in early February. Item number 4, first quarter tax payments. The Township Division of Tax Collection will be open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. during the first quarter tax collection period. The tax office will also be open between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Saturday, February 9th, 2019, and between the hours of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Monday, February 11th, 2019. For additional information, residents should contact the Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600, extension 2999. Item number 5, the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Program. The Township of Elbridge will be holding a public hearing to discuss and consider the Township's Community Development Block Grant 2019 Annual Action Plan. The Community Development Block Grant allocation for fiscal year 2019 is estimated to be $270,000. The public hearing will be held on Thursday, February 21st, 2019 at 3 p.m. in the courtroom of the Township Administration Building located at 1 Elbridge Plaza, Elbridge, New Jersey. The public hearing is being scheduled in the initial stages of the development of the annual action plan. The information received from the interested persons at the hearing will assist the Township Administration and Town Council in the preparation of the 2019 Annual Action Plan for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Item number 6, Housing Rehabilitation Program. The Township Consultant CGP&H markets the program, handles homeowner intake, and the case management from verification of income eligibility through construction completion. As of December 31st, 2018, 114 homeowners to date have shown interest in the Elbridge Home Improvement Program. 23 homeowners have submitted their formal application. In 2018, 6 cases completed construction, 3 more are under construction, and 2 more are in pre-construction phase. Item number 7, affordable homes for sale and rent. The Township Consultant CGP&H markets affordable homes for sale to applicants on the waiting list, verifies buyer incomes, coordinates with mortgage providers, prepares closing document, deed restrictions, and attends closing. 2 homes have been sold in the last 12 months. There are 4,677 applicants on the waiting list to purchase an affordable home in Elbridge. This is an increase of 543 since May 2018. In anticipation of the availability of rental units in 2018 and 2019, CGP&H opened the rental waiting list in November of 2017, and 5,393 applicants have joined the rental list. Item number 8, Elbridge Food Bank providing government shutdown assistance. The Elbridge Food Bank is here to help. The food bank is offering its services to Elbridge Township residents who are federal government employees that have been furloughed or asked to work without pay. If you are in need of temporary assistance during the government shutdown, please call extension 6625 for assistance. Please note that you will need to provide your federal work ID to receive assistance. If you are not an Elbridge resident and need assistance, please visit our website at www.elbridge.com/foodbank for a complete list of food banks in Middlesex County. Item number 9, 2019 recycling. Public Works Department encourages all residents to download the new Recycling Coach app. The app allows you to get reminders about curbside recycling, important scheduled changes, storm alerts, and more. For more details on the app and to download and print the 2019 curbside pickup schedule directly, go to www.olbridge.com/recycling. If you would like a schedule mailed to you, please email recycling@olbridge.com or call extension 6107. That concludes the administrative report.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Shapiro. Anyone, questions or comments, council? Mr. Fischetti.
Hi, thank you for that report. I think you do much better than Mr. Shaw. Can you tell me what's being improved on item number 1?
So our municipal complex, for those of you that might recall, or maybe some of our residents might recall, in 2010, I believe, it was the parking lot that's out in front of the code enforcement building or our building department, right here, and the one that's adjacent to that, where most of the municipal employees and our residents that are coming to the court or to our senior building or to the civic center, that was improved in 2010. What was left out was the parking lot for the library. So that didn't receive any resurfacing. And some of the curbing and some of the sidewalk needs to be replaced in that area. When we're doing that, we're actually updating the handicap ramps at the curb returns in the walkable areas. In addition, the main drive aisle between basically the Public Works building to Cottrell Road would be resurfaced. A lot of the wiring, a lot of the electrical wiring that you see overhead that should be underground were temporary fixes. So we're going to be running conduit to make sure that those wiring, instead of being overhead, then goes underground. We're actually preparing 3 separate conduits to actually be installed in addition to that conduit for the wiring, for the lighting, for future security upgrades within the municipal campus, for upgrades for irrigation system within the campus, and one empty for any future use. So we're sort of planning ahead as well as maintaining what we have out there now.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else for any comments?
Will they be fixing those Ballard lights?
Yes, I think there's 1 or 2 Ballard lights out, and if you notice on the walkway to the library, there's actually a missing foundation, and there's actually 1 pole that's out. So there's going to be that pole that we're purchasing, a light fixture, and then the contractor will reconstruct the foundation. In addition, some of the lighting upgrades, you'll notice that there are some trapezoidal poles out there in the existing parking lot in front of the code building and in front of this administration building that are 30 feet high. Those are old poles, and if you notice, there's newer ones that are 25 feet high. Those get replaced out. The lights are new, so those get retrofitted on the new poles. Along County Route 516, you'll notice that on Cottrell, we had put decorative lighting along with sidewalk. The sidewalk and the bikeway exist along 516 along our frontage, however, the lighting is not there. This contractor will be installing the foundation and putting up those decorative light poles and fixtures.
That'll be included in this
contract,
in this
yes.
bid, right?
Yep.
My question is, why couldn't you put some kind of backup explaining kind of what you were doing and just leave it with nothing in the backup? That's what I don't understand. You didn't have to explain all that, but it was just, well, we need $500,000 for improvements. I just don't like it that way. I mean, is this something you just decided, or, I mean, couldn't you have had a week or so to just write some of the stuff that they were going to be doing, or give us a little more information? I'm not you, but, you know, I think we should have had some backup.
Councilman Murphy, in the backup, there should be a memo that describes sort of the bid opening and the contractor that would be awarded the bid.
Well, the contractor that awarded the bid was there, but there was no backup. Did you see backup?
Right. As for the details, I rarely ever put the plans or the specifications in backup when we're awarding a contract to a contractor on the consent agenda. If there's something that...
Yeah, but I don't understand. So you would expect us to pay $500,000, but we don't know what we're paying it for? We weren't prepared to go into the meeting to understand what it was for?
Certainly, Councilman Murphy, I would hope that if the question was asked, and I'd rather you ask the question because I like that the public hears the explanation rather than me, putting sort of a dissertation in the backup of Novus and nobody asking the question. I'd rather the question be asked. The point of the backup in Novus, from my point of view, is for you to know that we followed public contract law. We bid it out. It was an open bid. Anybody could bid on it. These were the number of contractors that we had received bids from, and we followed proper procedures in documenting that. If there's a question that you want to ask, certainly you're invited to ask me before the meeting, during, after.
Okay, well, I'm not going to ask after because I have to vote on it before that. I understand all the legal things you have to do. I was just concerned that I didn't know I was paying $500,000. That's a question I don't have to ask now because you've pretty much answered it. Weren't you a little concerned about the difference between $500,000 and $1.5 million?
The $1.5 million is an anomaly. I mean, it's the winter conditions, and when I bid it, it was in December.
Okay.
Sometimes people don't want the job, and they throw it out because they want to see if there's other contractors that won't bid. Maybe they'll get lucky, and they'll get the project for $1.4 million because they're not thirsty.
Okay. What was your estimate?
It was in the backup. I don't have it in front of me. I don't want to speak
There was
out of
no
turn.
backup.
I believe it was $502,000. I don't exactly have the number, but it was in.
Okay. That's all I have.
C2? I'm sorry, Councilman Murphy, hold on. $500,362,099. So the contractor was $9,000 away from my engineer's estimate.
Okay, that makes a lot, well, it's about as close as you can get. So I would have taken $700,000 or $400,000, but that's fine. I just was a little concerned with the 1.5, and I think there was a $900,000 in there.
Okay.
Council, I'd just like to say these improvements are way overdue and much needed.
You go down?
So to hear somebody,
Go down.
it's mind-boggling.
No, click on C2.
All right, so now we're going to, do I have a motion to accept the, yeah.
No, I just want to make a couple comments.
Yeah, that's quite
So,
right.
first of all, as always, I enjoyed the administrative report, and I thought it was very informative. The point I made before about some of the items on the administrative report are included in the consent agenda. Number one is a perfect example. C2 is what we were talking about, and there's backup in C2. And the consent agenda is that there's always an opportunity for council to separate that and to talk about it. And that was your point. Again, just a couple of things I want to talk about. I mean, so now the public knows the budget schedule, okay? That was discussed tonight. First quarter tax payments are obviously very important. People want information about that. This is all good information that I think is important that we continue to put out there so the public knows. Okay, so I just want to reinforce that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? So then I'll have to take a motion to
Second.
Okay. Dr. Greenberg? Yes.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kale?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Consent agenda, I'd like to, if we could, get a motion to introduce it. I'll put it out to the public
Move
and
it.
then bring it back. Moved by Mr. Piscitty, second by Mr. Rizzoli. Okay. Is there anyone in the public who would like to come up and comment on any of the consent agenda items this evening? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now ask council for separations. Mr. Murphy.
No, 1, 8, and 12.
Right, not C2?
Not 2.
Not
No,
two.
that's what we just did.
All right, so you
I'm on
want,
that one.
I'm sorry, 1,
8 and 12?
8?
Yes.
And 12. Okay, just want to make sure I got it right.
Madam Chairperson.
Yes, I'll be right with you, Mr. Merwin. Okay, yes, Mr. Merwin.
4, 6, and 7.
Anyone else on my left? Anyone on my right? No? Okay, Seeing no hands, I will ask to pass the balance of this consent agenda, please.
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
9 yes.
C1, John Murphy.
Okay, this is the first I'm hearing about this, this Bridgepoint condominium thing here. I'd like to either table it for executive session tonight or table it for next meeting so I could learn a little bit more of what it's about. Do I have a second on that?
And that's not,
I want to table that. I'd like to table it.
Table 1 second.
okay, so now we have a motion to table by Mr. Murphy, a second by Mr. Rizzoli, correct?
Is that something that the attorney could advise?
I don't understand anything.
This is an agreement that was between the Township of Elbridge and Bridgepoint Condominium Association. They're agreeing to it. For you to table something that a community has agreed to is bizarre. This was a settlement that they've reached with the township. Bizarre.
Well, what was the settlement?
I think it's in your backup. C1 is a C-1.
There was a lawsuit, right?
No.
Yes.
It was a disagreement over funds for reimbursement for snow plowing. It went way back, and the years expired.
Oh, okay, that was my question. How far back did it go?
I don't have that information. It went pretty far back.
Did it go to court, or did we settle out of court?
Settled out of court.
Okay. Then, before we vote, I'd like to see if there was any kind of builder's agreement, because builder's agreement takes precedent, and we should not have had to settle out of court.
Counsel, I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words.
Then I'd like to table it. That's what I'd like to table, because I don't think...
John, don't.
Joan, we had the motion and the second, so you have to stop speaking then and vote.
Mrs. Brown? To table, Mrs. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Cahill?
No.
Dr. Greenberg? No. Mr. Merwin? No.
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
Why don't they do?
President Soho?
No.
2 yes, 6 no, and 1 abstention.
Okay, so do we have a motion for C1?
I'll move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Next is C4, Mr. Merwin.
Yes. What is the Elbridge Raceway Park suing us for?
Councilman Merwin, if you recall, there was an application that was in front of our board. The acronym that was used is DROSNA.
Meditation.
It was a temple, and it was a religious institution, and it had housing associated with it. Originally, our zoning board had denied the application. It went to court. It was remanded back to the zoning board, and then the zoning board ultimately, with various conditions, approved the application. Elbridge Raceway Park is suing the township for the approval. They don't think that the conditions of the approval should have been granted, and so that they are now suing us. I don't want to go into too much detail because we are in litigation.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that was going on in reference to what, the business that gets put on at Raceway Park.
No.
Okay.
All right.
I'll move it if nobody else has anything.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Merwin and second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C6, Mr. Berwin?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the public is aware that they hired 4 police officers, and Mark DeMeo, Zachary Piteous, Jake Canillo, and Daniel Greco. I just don't like it on the consent agenda. I think it's something that...
It's something new that had to be put on.
Yeah, well,
the hiring.
this happened before. Remember the night you got upset when I said something about Officer Henry? It was the same thing. I was removing it just so that we publicly acknowledge it, that's all.
I would say, Council, 2 are in the academy as we speak, and 2 are being trained, and when everybody's back, I'll bring them before the council.
Great.
Okay.
I'll move it.
All right. Moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Cahill.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes, and congratulations to all 4 of them.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C7, Mr. Merwin?
Showing a $1,500 reduction.
Yes.
Sorry, we're showing a $1,500 reduction in the contract. But in reality, there's what, $36,000 of additions, extras?
No, Councilman Merwin, when we adjust for quantities, those are as-built quantities. So those are not additions. Those are actual as-built quantities.
Okay.
The dollar amount, the difference between the dollar amount of what the contractor came in as lowest bidder to what the final dollar amount is about $1,500 less. This was actually on the consent agenda at the last meeting in December. However, we found a calculation error that was off by $45.
Okay.
So we're asking for you to amend that resolution that was previously approved for the reduction.
I still have one other question on this. On this descriptive engineering report, there says there's a penalty for noncompliance with air void ratio of HMA in item number 6. A, what is the air void ratio? And B, how does that affect the workmanship? Or
We have the project inspected by our consultant, and then we had an outside agency actually take cores of the pavement to make sure it was in compliance. They were on the cusp. I don't have the report in front of me. I can get you the difference of what we were expecting, but as far as the range, it was acceptable, and that's why we're moving forward. Remember that this project is local aid funded, so it actually has to go and pass DOT's test, not only our test as well.
yeah, no, that was my only question is, are we getting substandard material or whatever? I mean, if we can penalize them for $25,000, there was something there. I just don't know what.
No.
And that's why I'm asking the question.
Still in the acceptable range.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have anything? If not, I'll move it.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C8, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, I have a question. It may be of the attorney. I understand, it looks like you added a street or two to this, and you're calling it a change order. And I see it's 16.2, so you kept it under the 20%. I think by what this is, I don't think it's a change order. I feel it changes the scope of the work, and it should be rebid.
Councilman Murphy, so it's a change order because it's under the 20%. I took the opportunity because we are developing our 2019 list for paving. I actually forwarded that list along with address ranges for the limits of work to our CDBG consultant and said, what qualifies in this range? I actually picked purposely a dollar amount for a roadway that was half resurfaced, half width resurfaced by PSE&G to get the best bang for our buck. This $23,000 and this 16% now gets me a fully paved road. Yes, I had a good dollar amount for the tonnage on the surface course. And that's why I didn't feel like we had to rebid it. I had such a good dollar unit cost for that I felt that if we added it to this contract, we get a better bang for our buck.
Okay, my question is to the attorney. I just want to know, is that considered a change order, or is it considered you have to rebid it because of the change, because of the scope of work? You should have bid it if you thought you were going to do it anyway, I feel. I'm not a legal person. I'm referring that to the attorney.
It's within the change order amount, and I see no legal basis to have to rebid that one portion.
And counsel, just keep in mind, if you had to rebid that $23,000 portion, your mobilization charge for another contractor would probably be twice that much. It makes absolutely no sense. None.
I thought it should have been added in the beginning, you know, and I left it up to the attorney. That's my question. I agree with him. I mean, I'll accept this thing. In fact, I'll move it based on the attorney's
Second.
remark.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Murphy, second by
Who seconded it?
I second it.
Mr. Pescetti.
Are they?
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C12, Mr. Murphy.
Okay, this was the first I heard about when I read it. Is this a council appointment or a mayoral appointment?
The council appointment.
Why weren't we notified? I didn't know anybody was appointed.
That's not.
Who appointed him?
That's what we're doing.
Well, listen, I have some questions here. A lot of it I have to address Mr. Shah on, and I have a lot of things I want to talk about Mr. Shah. And in all fairness, I feel we should table this so I don't speak to him or about him tonight while he's not here. I'd like to table this.
Councilman Murphy, when I had discussed this with Mr. Shaw earlier today, you know, there was 2 available candidates for this position, one being Dawn Swoboda, the acting director of finance, and then one being Avril Lamage, who's on for tonight. The reasoning that Avril Lamage was picked for this position was because you have to have a close relationship with the inner workings of workers' comp. And her being human resources, she has that knowledge. And that's why she was the better candidate of the 2 that were pretty much...
That's not my concern. My concern is I have some things to say to and about Mr. Shah on this. I feel he should be here when it's done. I would like to table. I don't think you want me talking about this tonight.
Council, administration knows who's best fit to be in this position to represent the township at these JIF meetings that occur.
I understand. Could you just table it? Otherwise, I'll just talk all about Mr. Shah, and he can't defend himself. I don't like that. I have some things I want to talk to him about.
With us choosing an individual who's best fit for position, what is there to defend? What is there to defend? Tell me. You don't like the person we appointed? What?
It has nothing to do with liking him. What's the... Wait a minute.
Mr. Murphy, did you make a motion?
You're the mayor. This is the council. This is a council appointment. You shouldn't even be involved.
Well, obviously I need to because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Well, but my question is, I need to talk to Mr. Shah about this.
Make a motion to make a table. Did
I
you
make a motion.
Point of order.
We need a second.
We need a
Point
second.
of order.
Don't make me talk.
He made a motion to table.
And I made a point of order, which takes precedence.
What is your point of order?
Okay, to the attorney. Is this a council appointment or is this a mayoral appointment?
To be honest with you, Mr. Morwin, I don't think it's a council appointment. I think this is an administrative appointment that the mayor has the authority to make.
And that's the question.
Okay, and there's my answer.
Council appointment.
All right, but, and if you're incorrect, what would be the remedy? If this is a council appointment, what would be the remedy if we acted upon the mayoral appointment?
If it was an improper appointment, then the appointment would be null and void, and you'd have to follow the other procedure. It's a procedural issue.
Clearly in the backing documentation, right, let me bring it back up. It says appointing fund commissioner to the JIF, and it says, be it resolved by the Township Council that the following municipal officials are hereby appointed, to the Intergovernmental Insurance Fund. Nowhere does it say whether it's it says resolved by the Township Council, so to me, it's a council appointment. But if you're ruling that it's a mayoral appointment, I'll acquiesce to your opinion.
What's the discrepancy? Table it. I'm going to say things that just table it. I don't want to talk about this stuff. I'm saying a lot of this shit.
I mean, they picked the two people that they want for that position. Why would we fight it? Why would we just fight it? Doesn't make
Because it's a council appointment.
Yeah, but
It's
they
not-
picked the people to do the
All right,
job.
John, wait one.
I don't think you want me talking tonight.
John, stop. Let's get a hold of the meeting here. We're trying to get a semblance of order and address your issues. So just give us a minute.
The resolution reads that you're approving, you approve everything. You approve, the mayor makes appointments, and you consent and approve that by resolution. That's what this is. If I'm mistaken, then it would be null and void, and we'll be back here next meeting on the issue. But Avril was selected by the administration to the appointment. So you have a motion to table it. If you want to have the motion heard, and then we can conduct business beyond that.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
All right, so John made a motion to table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Is this a vote to table it or not, or just to vote?
Yes.
To vote to table.
No.
No. Mr. Cahill?
No to table.
Dr. Greenberg?
No to table.
Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscotti?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Soha?
No.
2 yes, 7 no, motion failed.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay,
We discuss it?
I think we've already.
Okay. We can
Discuss.
discuss it after?
No,
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Next will be ordinances for first reading. FR1, Ordinance Amending Chapter 10, Traffic, Section 10-19, 7B of the Code of the Township of Elbridge, 87 Murray Drive, Oldbridge, New Jersey, 08857.
Move it.
Second.
Who Who moved it? Merwin?
Yeah. And Dr. Greenberg.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
This will be the procedure that we're following in the future for first readings, right?
I don't understand.
It was not brought up for discussion, that's why. I'm
Why,
asking. Will this
Stella?
be the procedure that we're following? I'm going to vote yes on the first reading, but I'm just asking if this is the procedure we're going to follow.
Well,
Yeah, but
it's
but
first
Mr.
reading
Merwin,
for
there
tonight.
is an explanation to this.
Understand the explanation.
Well,
This is first reading. Yeah.
It's going to be the procedure, that's all. Should be the same procedure every time.
we've been down this road before. Last time it wanted to be the other way. So in deference to a person with an issue, we took it upon ourselves now to do it this way this evening. I thought that everyone would understand what the reasoning was behind it.
Okay, all right, Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
9 yes.
Discussion ordinance DO1, rescinding order number 2017-22, amending Chapter 10, Traffic, Section 1019-7B of the Code of the Township of Elbridge, handicap parking sign to be removed on 10 Wendy Street, Old Bridge, New Jersey, sign not needed, person moved.
I'll make a motion.
Is the discussion. Okay. Does anyone have any comments or any?
Basically, it's self-explanatory.
I would think so. Anyone on this side? Do we have a consensus to move it up? Okay. All
I'll
right.
move it.
Second.
Is this for first reading tonight or for first reading next meeting?
Can we move it to tonight?
Up to first reading.
Can we just move it to a first reading tonight?
Yes.
You're going to move it to
Yes,
first reading?
we're going to move it up.
Vote on first
Yeah.
reading?
And then
That was my motion, to move it to first reading tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Second.
Cahill. All right, and second,
Okay.
Mr. Murphy.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
9 yes, thank you.
Now, go
I
ahead.
make a motion on first reading.
Second.
Sorry, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
The first motion,
No, the first-
because you're doing,
just
you did it
listen.
as a discussion ordinance. You
Right.
then you want to move it up for first reading. It was a 9-0 vote to do that. Now you're voting on first reading.
Okay.
That's all right.
No, this
I
way-
just think this way it's
Yes,
clear to everybody
everybody
what the
gets-
steps are.
Yeah.
I need to
Clear tonight, so.
I'm trying.
Who's going to get to?
I need a second.
Okay, second, okay.
Rizzoli.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is public comments on any subject matter. Is there anyone who wishes to come up and be heard? Okay. You good?
Take it
Good
off.
evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm Terry Barron from Cheesequake Village. I'm a little sorry that these people, the gentlemen, have left already, because I wanted to tell you, last week we had a break in the street. They were there at 8 o'clock in the morning. It affected 7 streets that were out. I would say after a couple of hours of them working on it, the foreman came into my office. He gave me his card and his phone number, and he had a list of all the streets that were affected. Of course, we knew because we were getting the phone calls. By 4:30 in the afternoon, they had ripped up the street, fixed it, put it back together again. And it was like 4:30, and they were leaving. And they never left until that work was done. They even cleaned the one street because it was inundated with water, and it was like 20 degrees. And we were concerned of the ice. So I would just like to let them know how much we appreciate. Every time that we call that department, they are always there. They never question us. When we call and we say we need them, they're there. And we thank them for that.
There is some of the gentlemen are still here. Okay, the workers are still here, Terry. Yeah. Anyone else for public comment? Please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Lucille Panos. As you all know, I used to sit up there for 15 years, and I haven't been here since then. However, when I'm sitting in my living room watching some things that are not the whole truth, and it affects the most vulnerable of our society, I felt it was necessary I come down. When the MUA spoke of, well, and I see, Councilman Rizzoli, you questioned the state law. Yes, there is a state law that guides how much somebody can make before they get a discount. And the township is obliged to do that. When I was on that council, we were supposed to write a letter to the MUA. See, yes, they're under the same guidelines as the state, 40-14B22, and I'll leave this for your knowledge. They have to follow the guidelines of the amount, but they don't have to follow the guidelines of the discount. A municipal utility authority can give up, the town might only be able to give 10%, but a utility authority can give 30% or 50%. And you know what? Look at these people who are getting this discount. In this town, there's maybe 500. If I remember, there was just under 500. Who are making $10,000 or less. If they can, I ask you to reach out to the MUA. If they can give, and they are allowed to give a 40% discount instead of the 10%. Do you know, I remember those people coming up and saying, you know what, sometimes I have trouble giving my grandkids some Christmas presents because that $500 a year means that much to them. So I ask you, yes, there was a half-truth that they're guided by a state law. However, the rest of the truth is they can give these 400 or 500 people a much bigger discount than they do. 14B-22.2. Once I remember Mr. Haney came here and gave a presentation, and they admitted and realized that they could give a bigger discount. Just nobody ever followed through on it. And again, when we're talking about the most vulnerable of our society, 400 or 500 people, give them a break, people. Write that, continue, follow up where that letter went, and get these people their due. You know, most of them are seniors and disability, so thank you. Anybody, I'll leave this here for, I'll leave it here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to be heard? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion, and now I will go to council member comments. Anyone? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Mr. Merwin? And then I'll
Yes.
Getty. Yes.
There seems to be some little discourse here when we ask questions. I asked a question of the attorney, and he wasn't sure. We don't all know everything up here. So I will continue to ask questions whenever I think it's appropriate. All right? Mr. Murphy, you know, has a problem with the administrative report. I don't think it's the problem of the administrative report, it's the problem sometimes of the content of the administrative report. So he brought it up. It failed. No big deal. Everybody don't have to get their little zings in there that we questioned it. But that's all right. I'm going to tell you right now, if I have a question, I'm going to ask the question. I don't care if the mayor likes it. I don't care if the chief of police likes it. I don't care if the council likes it. If I think it's an appropriate question that I think the public needs to know, I'm going to ask that question. And I would ask the council to just give us that little pleasure. All right, thank you.
Okay, are you through? Anyone else on this side of the dais?
I'm going to, out of a courtesy of Mr. Shah, I'll speak about it at the next meeting. But I do want to say that was probably the best business administrative report I ever heard. That stuff was there. It didn't say www.ob, you know, that's kind of what bothers me. I would never want the people to know what's not going on. I still feel, even if you're going to keep it, attach a copy of it to the agenda so they can read along with you. I mean, the 25 people at home or 100 people, whatever it is at home, I understand. They want to know. But if you go to the website, everything is usually there. And my concern is they are not being given the right to know about certain things in the town that should be on there. I just wish he would look more into that. And that's all I'm going to say.
Councilman Murphy, I might hate myself for lowering myself here, but this is the Township of Elbridge Administrative Report. A lot of the functions that you mentioned are not sponsored by the township, they're not sanctioned by the township, so they're not going to be in the Elbridge Business Administrative Report. If we're not given the information, how do I get it to you?
Well, you were at every event.
Control what's in here and what doesn't go in
But you're
here.
at every event. Why don't you let Mr. Amatsu know? And then he could tell us.
What events were you not invited to?
We didn't even know about the Elbridge Special Olympics.
They came here, made a big presentation.
Yeah, Karen Lewicki.
Karen Lewicki came. Yeah.
Well,
they were coming to New Jersey. They were coming to
How
Elbridge.
about the boys' volleyball championship? I would have went to that game.
Had a motorcade for them down 516.
After they
won. Yeah,
Yeah,
that night.
I would have liked to have been at the game.
Well, it was all
Things
over
like
Facebook.
that.
It was all
the Mariano Rivera thing.
We didn't put it together.
Okay, so now the cops. From now on, are we going to do all the appointments for the cops?
Yes, you'll see them on the agenda. But when
They won't be done here anymore. They won't be done
You are giving us
here.
the right to hire police officers. You're okay to test.
But are you going to always do them in your office now, or wherever you did them? They're not going to be done here now? Is that what you're changing? I don't understand.
Depending on the time of year, depending on the situation, they will be sworn in upstairs at 201 with their families.
Okay.
If it's on Christmas Eve, I did one in my office because it was important that officer be sworn in. They will be brought before the council, as they always are.
Okay, I'm just feel that we have talked to different department heads at the town to let us know. I understand the Board of Education, we've tried to get on board with them to notify us of that. But I just think that we should be invited to the events also.
We don't control the invite list. If it's a private event and I get an invitation, I don't have the right to invite everyone. If they invite the mayor's invited. If they want to invite the council, they invite the council. They're copied on it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Mr. Piscitty, you had comments?
Yeah, just briefly, Ms. Panos was talking about giving higher discounts to certain ratepayers in the town. I mean, I think we have to understand that the MUA, do their finances. And if they give more discounts to certain people, that means our rates for the other people are going to go up. So, look, I'm assuming that they do a great job in their finances and the way they run that as a business, and they're doing a really good job. If they start handing out discounts, it's going to cost everybody else. Everybody else has to kick in for the additional discounts that they give. That was the one thing. The other thing was for engineering. When we have the backup, I think it would be helpful if I know that in Novus you can go and you can find the actual bid. It's on there. I think it would be easier for the council if we're looking at the backup and there's a link, and we could just hit the link, and that will bring us to the bid document, and then we could see exactly what the bid is. See, the question to me is not whether you did your job or not. I think you're doing a great job. And the way you select the person that's going to win the bid, I'm in total agreement. I think you're doing a great job there. Just for me, looking at C2, I didn't know what that was. I had to ask you what it was. It would have been nice to be able to go to the backup and click on a link, and then it would have told me exactly what was in the bid, right? That was the municipal complex, which you explained to me.
Councilman Piscotti, are you asking for the scope of work? Is that some sort of detail?
It just as a link in the backup, a novice.
Would it be okay if I added one or two paragraphs to then the memo that I prepare awarding it to the contract instead? I don't want to inundate, our bid package is hundreds of pages.
Right.
So you would have to, I could click you to a link, but you would have to find the page. So can I give you a brief description then in the memo of like one or two paragraphs?
Yeah, that would be fine. This way I understand what we're approving. I don't have a problem that you've selected, in the bid process. That's not my question. My question is, what is it? What are we buying?
Right.
That was it.
No problem.
Thanks.
Next
That's
time.
great. Appreciate it.
Right, anyone else on this side? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I just don't understand the confusion of some of the council members with the consent agenda items. We have plenty of time. We've beaten this like a dead horse that you have plenty of days to call the administration to find out what's happening with the agenda, the consent agenda. Some people just seem so confused up here. They have no idea what's happening, and I don't understand it. And the administrator bends over backwards to help you. I just don't understand it.
Else on this side of the...
Really, during the winter with the hazards, ice, and the cold weather, just everyone be safe. If you have any neighbors that are elderly, just check on them once in a while to make sure they're all right. And everyone, just continue to have a good year and be peaceful.
Okay, anyone else? We're good? All right, well, thank you, everyone, for this evening. The motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Pescetti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.